Hello, chat. I forgot to put the chat here, so you'll have to wait a moment. But to be fair, I scheduled the live stream for 8:05, so you'll have to wait until 8:05 until I start, because I scheduled it for 8:05. That's how things work around here. It's been a long day, and now we're gonna just wrap it up with some super simple SAT math questions. Yup, you heard me right. Super simple. I promise it's super simple, guys. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it is easy, though. Is the chat showing up? I think chat is showing up. Right. We're on math module 2. And let me check if chat is actually showing up. What's that? I don't think chat is showing up. That's quite unfortunate. I genuinely hope the chat would actually work, but it's not working yet. Oh, maybe there's like a huge delay from when you send a message and from when it shows up in the chat. Yeah. So this is gonna be the last live stream for the SAT 7 practice test. And if you want any reference to the other questions on the test, you can check out my previous live stream in the playlist. Yeah, so you just go to my channel and check out the playlist for reference to the other SAT questions. There's a couple of interesting questions out there. I'm planning to compile them all into like one video or something. Maybe like just cut them into shorts. But I don't have time for that, so for now let's just focus on solving these questions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 questions left. And trust me, they're super simple. Doesn't mean that remember, just because they're simple doesn't mean they're easy, okay? And just because they're easy doesn't mean they're simple. Our question can be easy, but it can be like really complicated. Okay, so chat is showing up. Just like I said, I'm going to be waiting until 8:05 until we start solving questions. So yeah, just chill until 8:05. I don't think I got anything wrong last week, hopefully. I don't even remember if I got anything wrong last week. Because normally we would go over the questions we got wrong last week. But I actually, like, genuinely don't remember. Oh, right, because we skipped last week. I think I'm slow. Yeah, we skipped last week because we are quite ahead in the math module. Let's just check if we got anything wrong. I don't think we got anything wrong last week. The questions here are like really simple. It's just simple subtraction, addition, division. And it's just testing some basic algebra knowledge. Yeah, so because we're not going to we do not have any questions we got wrong last week. We do not need to review any question from last week, which means we can move on to the next question in the module. And that reminds me, I haven't introduced myself yet. So hello everyone, Welcome back to the channel if you're new here. I am a 1510 SAT scorer. I'm working towards a 1600, but that seems like 10 miles off, so hopefully we'll reach that goal someday. And by someday, I hope it's like really soon. But every Tuesday and Thursday, I will be solving SAT questions live without seeing them beforehand, because this is not just another SAT explanation channel. We do not memorize the answer for you, but we will investigate the answer with you. So every single question here, I haven't seen them before. And I'm going to walk you through the process on how I'm going to solve the questions, because I am going to be using something I call the evidence approach. I do not pick the answer that sounds correct, but I pick the answer that is proven to be correct. And that means we're not going to be looking at the answer options and seeing which one looks the closest, okay? You can do that when you're short on time, but you're definitely not short on time. So, yeah. Whether I solve a question immediately or have to work through it step by step, I hope you understand how I approach it in real time. So let's move on and start with our first question. I have a feeling my voice is gonna die out really fast. Anyways, our first question for today is question 20. 2x squared minus 8x minus 7 equals 0. And one of the solution is this, where k is a constant. And they want you to find the value of k. Now, one thing that I noticed here is that you can just solve for this equation. As I said, it's super simple. You just solve for this, solve for x in this equation, and let that equal to this. However, you know you're going to have two x values. But I am absolutely sure that only one x value will work for this equation right here. So without using decimals, cheaty decimals, we are going to be just solving this equation straight up. So our delta is equals to b squared minus 4ac. Now, why are we using the delta technique? Because using delta, you can solve for almost every single quadratic equation, except the one that does not have a solution, of course. So your b here is -8, so that will be 64 for b squared. 4ac is 4 times 2 times -7. That's 56. And that is going to be positive 56 because of this negative sign right here and this negative sign right here. Which means that gives us our delta value to be 120. If our delta is 120, root of delta is equals to root 120. If root delta is equal to root 120, you don't necessarily have to factor that. So what is your x value? When you have your root delta, you know that your x value equals to negative b plus minus root delta over 2a. This is absolutely important. You will have to know this probably your whole life. No, just kidding. Probably until you graduate from uni. After uni, you can just plug it into ChatGPT and it'll solve it for you, okay? But then you have to remember this as long as you're a student. Hello, chat. You are on full volume and you cannot hear me. Please scream out loud so okay. Can you hear me now? Hello? I don't believe that you can't hear me, bro. Come on. Is it laggy or it's just I'm too quiet? What I'm saying is you should remember this thing, okay? Negative b is 8 plus minus root 120 over 2a, which means 4. And one thing you'll notice here, because we are very smart and we use the traditional way, which is delta, can you see this? This and this is basically the same, except for this is really messy. This is 8 plus minus root 120 over 4, and you see 8 minus root something over 4. That means k is 120. Just compare these two. Like, a toddler can tell the difference, you know? You just replace k with 120. So that means that the answer, k, would be 120. Sometimes it's not the best idea to use decimals. As you can see here, because we didn't use decimals, we saved ourselves like... Actually, I don't think we saved ourselves any time. But it sure saves our brain power. Because I'm not going to solve 8 minus root k over 4 equals to a decimal number. Absolutely not. No chance I'm solving that. Chat, your little sis is playing Steel or Brain Rot. Who plays that, bro? Tell her to play like a real game, you know? I think, Chad, I think you just need headphones. Just put on your headphones. Anyways, we got the answer k equals 120. Super simple, right? I told you all the questions today are gonna be super simple. Doesn't mean they're gonna be easy though. You have to find the answer. Anyways, when you are facing these type of questions where you don't have options, it's usually harder because you can't verify your answer easily. But in these type of questions, if your answer matches, like exactly matches one of the options, that would be correct. But here, you have to solve for the answer manually. So you have to be careful with that. Alright? Have questions? So if you have questions, ask me in the live chat. And I'll be moving on to question 21. This is a geometry question. How do I know it's a geometry question? I didn't read, but if you see a paragraph, it's a geometry question, okay? Most of the time, paragraphs are geometry question because they're describing an image. For a geometry question, you want to convert this paragraph here into an image that you can solve. Because you can't work with this. Even if you're a genius, I do not recommend working with this whole lump of text right here. Because it sucks. So, you just read it and understand what it's talking about. If you want to get used to turning these type of paragraphs into actual images you can solve, one thing I recommend is just solving a whole lot of these type of questions. Usually, the words they use are the same. You are going to see the same word repeated like 10,000 times. Right? Line, parallel, acute, obtuse, angles, sum of the measures, obtuse, angles, whatever. These words keep repeating in geometry questions because those are like technical terms. So one thing I recommend is just you go solve a lot of those questions and you'll get used to the terms in no time. It depends on you actually. how hard you work and how long you take to get used to the terms. Because there's a tree, chat, I don't think there's a tree anywhere. It's just a geometry question. Anyways, let's just convert this into an image we can work with. Converting it into an image we work with, let's look at the first sentence. A line intersects two parallel lines. So how many lines are there? 3 lines. Two parallel lines. Let's draw two parallel lines. 1, 2. Hopefully they're parallel. A line intersects two parallel lines. Intersects means cut through, so a line intersects two parallel lines. And if you remember from geometry, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, never mind. Just don't even try to remember anything. Understand. 4 acute angles, 4 obtuse angles. What are acute angles? They're under 90. Right? Obtuse angles are more than 90 and less than 180 usually. So for acute angles and for obtuse angles, that just tells us it's not a right angle. It doesn't really give us that much information because we always assume that it's for acute and for obtuse angles. But you know that one of the acute angles is 9x minus 560. So this is 9x minus 560 in degrees, by the way. And the sum of the measures of 1 acute angles and 3 obtuse angles is that. And what is the value of W? Okay, so I told you it's going to be simple, but it's not going to be easy. As you can see, the drawing is really, really simple. It's just 3 lines. The problem here is how we are going to use that 3 lines to give us information. Like, everyone can see that there's 3 lines, but not everyone can obtain the same amount of information from those 3 lines. So, let me just give you a very, 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 very brief overview of what it means if 2 parallel lines are cut by another line. Right? Let me just give you 2 parallel lines right now. Y equals 0 and y equals 2. And let's have the transversal y equals x. If you remember, a transversal is basically the line that intersects 2 parallel lines. Okay, now we can work with that. Right? Actually, how do you annotate something on the isthmus? Let me think about how do I explain this to you guys. Okay, so you have 2 parallel lines and a line cutting through it. So you will know that this angle right here, and this angle right here, I can't illustrate it for you. I'll have to use a different. Okay, let's find a blank slate. There you go. Okay, if 2 parallel lines intersected by a line, let's just mark them to show that they're parallel. This is how you mark lines to show that they're parallel. This angle and this angle is the same. If this one is 60, this one is 60. Alright? Now, let's look at this angle and this angle. If this one is 60, what do you think this one will be? This whole angle from here to here is 180. So this would be 180 minus 60. Right? Which means it's 120. And you know that this is 60. So that means now you know that if you add these 2 angles right here, this one, let me just mark them with red. Okay, just look at these 2 red angles here, right? If you add them, you'll get 180. This is basically the gist of 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal or another line. Let's just let's let me just mark two more angles for you to see. This angle and this angle. What do you think the measure is? If this one is 120, then this one is also 120. One way to tell is that you know that all of these angles have a relation to each other in some way. Either they're equal or they add up to 180 or supplementary. So now that I briefed you on that, let's go back to our nice image right here. Instead of giving us a nice number, they gave us this 9x minus 560. So that just complicates things a lot. But you know that the sum of one acute angle and three obtuse angles is that. So let me tell you something. If you look here, what do you notice? Like if you look down here, what do you notice? Let me just get rid of all of these markings so that you can visualize this carefully, okay? All the acute angles, if one is 60, all of them are 60. And for the obtuse angles, if one of them is 120, then all of them are 120. That means it doesn't matter which acute angle and which obtuse angle we're talking about. But we know that an acute angle is 9x minus 560, right? So an obtuse angle, because they're all like the same, it will be 180 minus 9x minus 560. Or if you just get rid of the parentheses, it's 180 minus 9x plus 560. And 560 plus 180 is 740. So it's negative 9x plus 740. And here it says that one acute angle and three obtuse angles is negative 18x plus w. Okay, so one acute angle is 9x minus 560 plus 3 obtuse angles, so 3 times negative 9x plus 740, right? Okay, so what we have to do now is just simplify this. So that gives us 9x minus 560 negative 27x plus 3 times 740 is 2220. That gives us negative 18x plus 1660. And it's supposed to be negative 18x plus w, so you equate that to negative 18x plus w. So if you just take a brief look at this, you can tell that w is equals to 1660. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the value of w, so we just write 1660. I told you it's super simple. They don't want us to like go any further. They're just testing our basic knowledge of this. And this is pretty basic knowledge if you paid attention in class. Chad, are you still with me? I hope you're still with me. Because it's super simple, guys. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. Take a moment to ponder this drawing right here and the solution right here. I think there's a way to split screen, right? I don't think I can split the screen right here. Well, there's no way to split the screen, so you guys can just ponder the answer right here. Maybe you can copy this onto a piece of paper and look over it afterwards if you're still confused. This is pretty basic geometry, and if you took a geometry course, you are definitely, I hope you know this, okay? But yeah, that is how we approach questions. Because they only gave us 3 pieces of information, that is 1, 2, 3, 3 lines. And from that 3 lines, you have to draw a conclusion. And not enough, like not everyone can draw enough information from just 3 lines. Okay, so that's enough time spent on a geometry question. Let's move on to question 22. Chat, if you have any questions, ask and I will. Thy shall ponder. What are you talking about, chat? Anyways, you can come back to the solution later. Rewatch the stream if you need to, but we are going to be moving on to question 22. So this is a linear function, meaning it's a straight line. There's 3 values, and okay. Basically, h of x equals to f of x minus 13. So if h of x equals to f of x minus 13, which the equation defines h? One way to solve it is to find f of x first, and then you just minus 13 from it. Or you can just find the y-intercept. Because this only deals with the y-intercept. And all these options only differ because of the y-intercept. So do not waste time on the slope, just go straight to the y-intercept. But then we only have the x-intercept, so we'll have to solve for the whole thing anyways. Which honestly sucks, right? But then we already know the slope is 5, so why bother? Sometimes you just gotta be smart. They told us the slope is 5 right here, even though it's for h of x. But then they did not change the slope of f of x while transforming it into h of x. That means the slope is the same. It's 5x minus b. You sub in negative 4, 0, right? So if it's 5x minus b, y is 0, or f of x is 0. This is negative 4. So 0 equals to negative 20 minus b. So b equals to negative 20. I hope you can understand my handwriting. Take a moment to ponder my handwriting because it's very beautiful. Right. I think that's enough pondering for today. You just take minus 13 out of that. And option, I think I made a mistake. It's plus b, guys. It's not minus b. What am I doing? Y equals mx plus b. Do not make stupid mistakes, okay? I gave you time to ponder and no one corrected my mistake. Just kidding. It's fine if you guys can't see the mistake. It's so messy anyways. Let's clear this up. Let me just retrace my steps and explain to you guys how I got all of that mess. Okay, so we are looking for the function of h of x. But then, because this is all the same, just focus on this. This is what you're focusing on, okay? They did not change the slope of f of x to h of x. That means you know that the slope of f of x is still 5x plus b. Y equals mx plus b. remember that we just substitute this in to find the value of b. So that would be 0 equals to negative 4 times 5, that's negative 20, plus b. That means b is negative 20. If b is negative 20, positive 20, I'm sorry. If b is positive 20 and you minus 13 from it, the answer would be b. 7, right here, 7. 20 minus 13 equals to 7. Let me use a different color pen to illustrate. 20 minus 13 gives you 7. Take a huge moment to ponder what I just did. And ask me questions if I'm going too fast. Because I use a shortcut that is not really that easy to notice. But then the shortcut is right there. Sometimes they just leave shortcuts everywhere in the SAT. If you are observant enough to spot the shortcuts, you can save yourself a whole lot of time in the SAT and not rush every single question. Like for all I know, some of you guys would be looking for the slope, even though the slope is the same here, and we're just focusing on the y-intercept. If you guys have questions, just ask me in the live chat, and I'll get to that when I see the questions, because it takes quite a long time for the chat to like show up on my side. You can see that at the edge of my screen. Right, let's move on to question 23. It's 8:32, guys, and we're actually only halfway there. I think we should like pick out our pace. So if g is defined by that, where b is a constant, and that is that, where c is a constant, you want to find the value of b, which means you're going to have to find out how to do a lot of substitution. If you see g of c plus 7, it just means that everywhere there is x, you replace it by c plus 7. Right, so you can tell that c over 4 is equals to b minus 15 times c plus 7. And if you do a bit of basic algebra, you'll get c. What this is called is distribution, where you multiply this with everything on the inside, but you should know that. Okay, so 735 is 105. And then you multiply everything by 4 because this is c over 4. So you get c equals to, actually, don't divide it by 4. I mean, don't multiply it by 4. You're solving for b, right? Just put everything to this side. B equals to c over 4 plus 15c plus 105. Now what you notice here is that this is still not in any of these forms. And I guess the answer is C. Because by doing a bit of mental math, 4 times 1 is, okay, so let me just illustrate that. C over 4 plus 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 5 is 20, so this is 60 C. This is 60 C over 4. 60 C over 4 plus 105. which means if you take c plus 6 c over 4 plus 60 c over 4, you get 61 c over 4 plus 105, which is the value of b, which is what we are looking for. So this is just basic algebra. I told you it'll be simple. Even though the way they word it is an absolute monster, um, the process is still simple. Chat, I'm not that slow, okay? I'm gonna finish this on time. So if you got questions, just ask me in the live chat. I'll get to them when I see them. Let's move on to question 24. Another geometry question, seriously? Okay, so it's trigonometry. It's not that bad. Okay, triangle XYZ. Illustrated. Z is the right angle. Oopsies, my bad. Length of YZ is 24 units. Okay. If tangent of x is 12 over 35, tangent of x means this over this. So if that is 12 over 35, that would the length of x. Okay. First of all, what are we looking for? We're looking for the perimeter, meaning you'll have to find the length of every single side. And thankfully, we already have one side, so we have to find the other two. Because this is a right angle, if you find this and you find this, you can find this. So, super simple. Tangent of x is the opposite over the adjacent. So it will be 24 over xz equals to 12 over 35. So xz, if you do cross multiplication and all of that, it would basically be 35 times 2, which is 70. Now, this is gonna be annoying because we're gonna use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for xy. I hope it's not too messy. Right? I don't even know what this value is supposed to be, so we just use Desmos because Desmos can calculate that really quickly. If you want a square root, just type SQRT and it'll convert it into a square root. 70 squared plus 24 squared. So 20 squared plus 24 squared. That gives us 74. So this is 74. So our perimeter would be 70 plus 74 plus 24 equals to 168. I hope I didn't do my calculation wrong. Super simple stuff. If you don't understand anything, especially this part, just ask me in the live chat. I'll explain it to you. But if you got what I was doing, that will be fine. If you're watching the stream later on, just drop your questions in the comments, and I hope I can answer them. Let's move on to question 25. Chad, do you have any questions? Never mind, Chad. You don't have any questions today. Let's move on. Oh no, I took up too much space. Anyways, this is a circle equation, okay? You want the circle's radius. Okay, what is the standard form of a circle? As you might know, is x minus h squared. Okay. Alright, this is the standard form of the circle. X minus h squared plus y minus h squared equals to r squared. Is y minus k squared. And you want to find the value of r. So we have to convert this whole thing into this form. And we can do that by using a simple technique called completing the square. So what does that mean? Let's just take this whole equation all the way to decimals so I can type it out and you guys can understand my handwriting better. So we currently have x squared plus 14x plus y squared equals to 6y plus 109. You can use decimals to find the radius of the circle if you are a robot and you're really accurate at measuring distances like this. Or you can do it the real way and convert this into this form. Or you can just mess around with these sliders and try to find out where it actually fits. Trust me, you're not gonna be able to do it. But if you're a freak, go on, do that. Basically, completing the square requires you to add, because on this side we can't turn this into this. So we need to add a value that allows us to turn that into that. And that value is 49 because 14 over 2 squared is 49. You might be asking, hold on, where do you get 14 over 2 squared from? It's always this number right here. You take that number, divide it by 2 and square it, and then you get the number you should add to complete the square. Right? As for y squared, you have to throw negatives, you have to throw this over to the other side. So it's negative 6y. Now you have to add 6 over 2 squared, which is 3 squared, and that is 9, equals to 109. And whatever you added on the left side, which is 49 and 9, you also add it on the right. You also add it on the right side. So you take that plus 49 and plus 9, and boom, as you can see, these two are the same equation. Now let's convert this to this form. So you actually don't have to mess around on the left side because you already know that that is going to go into this form. Oh my goodness. But anyways, the right side is what matters. 109 plus 49 plus 9, that's 167. Root of that is our r. So C is equals to 167. Amazing number, I know. Anyways, if you still have questions about how I got to this answer, just ask me in the live chat. Chat, do you have any questions? You've been like so dead today. It's not like you're alive any other day, but like you're really dead today. Huh. Seriously? So for question 26, they want us to convert 7 meters per second square to miles per minute square. So 7.3 m over s squared to mi over minute squared. Yay. Okay, let's say it's 1 meter per second squared, right? If you want to convert that to miles per minute squared, you need to convert meter to mile. Seriously? You gotta be kidding me, bro. Okay. Let's do it the other way, because we got decimals with us. 1 mile per minute squared. Because 1 mile is equals to 1609 meters, so it's 16 is equals to 1609 over 60 squared meters per second squared because 60 seconds are in a minute. So this right here is the conversion rate. And if you flip it upside down and multiply it by 7.3, that would just be 7.3 multiplied by 3,600 and divided by 1603, 1609, which is 16.3, which is the answer B. So yes, chat, you're vibing in the front room. Okay. So if you want to convert anything to anything else, just take the top, convert it into their top. So 1 mile equals to 1609 meters, and the bottom to the bottom. So minute squared is 60 seconds squared. Super simple. You guys should know this. This will come into handy, especially in physics or chemistry. Mostly physics though. Anyways, because you guys don't have any questions, let's move on to question 27 and then we are done. So the system here has no real solutions. And weird thing is, y is equals to negative 2.5. That is a horizontal line. So what we're looking at is how low this parabola is going to go, because we know that this is a line, this is a parabola facing up. You want to know how low it's going to go without touching the line. If it touched the line, there are solutions. You want the lowest possible that it can go without touching the line. And one thing you can do is use decimals actually. Oh, Chad, you have sore throat? It's fine. It can't be that bad. I've been I've been talking for almost an hour straight. One thing you can do is convert this whole thing to x minus h squared plus k. That is the standard form of a quadratic equation. And you want the vertex k. The k here and the k here is not the same, okay? You want the vertex k to be 2.5, above 2.5 basically. However, you know k is a positive integer constant, which actually helps a lot. So I'll just run through how to do it in decimals because it's much simpler. Keep in mind that k is a positive integer constant, okay? Positive integer constant. It can't be negative. What you're gonna do is gonna take all of those equations and put them in here. So that would be y equals to x squared plus 8x plus k. And you're gonna have a slider k, and you're just gonna drag it until it intersects the line. And one thing you might want to do is put this to like a huge number like 30 so you can slide it. There, I think it touched the line. But we want it not to touch the line at all, so there you go, integer constant. Okay, because it's a positive integer constant, it cannot be a decimal. So if it's 13, it's below the line and it's touching the line. If it's 14, it's not touching the line. So that is the lowest integer constant. That would be 14. If you want to solve for this any other way, you convert this into the y equals x minus h squared plus k form. And then you solve not for this k. This k and this k is different, okay? Uh, you want k to be like the integer above. You want the k to be the integer directly above negative 2.5, which is negative 2. So you're gonna sub negative 2 in here. X minus h squared is pretty much determined because of x squared plus 8x. That would definitely give you 4 for h. So you're just gonna multiply this and you get 16. And then this will be giving you minus 2, so the answer you'll get is also 14. That is just mental math anyways, but like, it gives you the same answer, trust me. Because you know h is going to be 4 and k is going to be negative 2 because that's going to be that. So the answer we'll get is 14. Doesn't matter if you use decimals or the traditional method. The traditional method might be a bit hard to use because it's not the question you see in textbooks every day. Anyways, my voice is really, really dying right now. Chad, if you got questions, ask me. Because we're going to be checking the answers right now. So this is the first. Where did we start? We started at question 20. So let's check our answers real quick. And then we'll end the stream right here. How are you guys finding the stream so far? Is it like boring or did you actually learn something from it or both? Okay, so 20 is 120. Correct. 21 is 1660. Correct. That is B, C, B, C, B. So it's B, C, B, C, and B. And the last answer is 14. We did not get any wrong. Thank goodness. So, because we didn't get anything wrong, and you guys don't have any questions, I think it's safe to end the live stream right here. Oh, Chad, you're finding the live stream funny? What? Okay. So hold on. So because we're done with everything, you guys can just ask me any questions in the live chat. But then, since you guys don't have any questions, I okay. So here's an announcement to make. I will not be streaming next week. Okay, so next week would be. Let me check the calendar real quick. Next week, Tuesday would be the 14th, and Thursday would be the 16th. I will not be streaming on those days because I gotta take a break. And since we're finished with the entire practice test, I'll be spending those 2 weeks probably editing these videos into shorter and more concise explanation versions so that you guys can understand it better and you guys don't have to come back to these live streams to actually find the solutions. So, announcement again. I will not be streaming next week. So, because we are finished with the practice test, and also because I need to like organize all the live stream stuff that I did, which will take more than 1 week, but I think I'll just do what I can do. Yes, Chad, I'm serious. I don't have that much time on my hands. Anyways, I think I think that's a very sad announcement. The screen just go black. Yeah, it just did. So that will be all for today. We finished the entire practice test. And I hope that today's questions showed you that SAT isn't about making lucky guesses, but it's actually about solving, especially for math, it's just about solving the problems and finding the option that matches the answer you got. And not everything is about decimals. Like, for some questions, you don't even need to use decimals at all. And it's not just testing you about how much theory you know, but it's actually testing your problem solving skills. Like, as you can see here, you can easily take a shortcut and save yourself a lot of time. Same with this one and this one. Like, many of these questions have shortcuts that if you use decimals, uh, you would, if you use decimals, you would like, it will be like really bad because you're going to get a decimal and using a decimal to solve those type of equations isn't the best idea. So that's enough for today. If you learned something today or enjoyed studying along, I'd love to have you back. I'll be streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays, but not next week. 8 to 9 p.m. So until next time, remember that don't guess, but solve the problem. So thank you for studying with me, and I'll see you guys next time when we are back with another practice test. Or maybe I'll use a different source for my questions. But for now, we'll have to end the live stream. It's 8:59. It's going to be 9 o'clock soon. And we actually ended on time today. It's great having you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.